How's it going? How's it going, guys? Got my first order hat on here. I'm ready to review a little bit of the Mandalorian. It is it first two seasons was like super good to me. Like one of the best shows that Disney Plus was putting on. It was beating out most of, if not all, of say like the Marvel universe, like TV shows and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed the Mandalorian. This season, though, to me, it has its up and downs. It's not been as like even, like it's been uneven. Like there's been a couple episodes that I really like episode 3, and like this past episode that we're going to talk a little bit about right now. But a lot of the other episodes were like weak in some ways. There was some that was okay, right, to good, and then there was a couple that were like very weak in the writing and stuff like that. And I was like, why are we even doing this? We only have 8 episodes. Why some of them? I'm not one of those guys who gets like irritated about the time. Like 30 minutes, if you tell a story, you tell a story. But okay, for instance, this is a perfect example. I didn't do a review for the last episode. The reason being is I felt like that episode was pretty much useless except for the last 10 to 15 minutes where Bo-Katan comes in, battles the Axe Wolf guy to get the fleet. And then when she's done, they use the Mandalorian comes out and says, hey, like, look, an enemy beat me. She came in and saved my life and beat that enemy. That means that the Darksaber should be hers. And they do that whole story right there, which was meaningful, right? It was meaningful for the story to go on, but it was only like the final like 10 minutes of that episode. The rest of that episode is not as important when it comes to this whole thing. Like it was a cool little like thing that looked like it was Blade Runner kind of thing where they're doing like this little investigation, but the investigation, because they didn't have a lot of time with it, kind of sucked because like they beat up a robot, take it out of commission, and then like not even 2 seconds later, they've already found the clue they need to find out where they're at, and then they go there. Like I said, it had cool moments. It looked cool. Like I give that props. But like as far as that episode, the real main thing here was this, and the reason why I like was the Bo-Katan situation, and the reason why I really don't like it is just because if this was a 22 episode show, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it's like 8 episodes, and most of them are only like 30 minutes long. It's like I said, I don't care that they're 30 minutes. Like some people get mad because it's like, oh my God, it's only 30 minutes. I do not care that it's 30 minutes long. As long as they're telling a good thing and the shows in the episodes tight, like I love the fact that some of these episodes don't have to be an hour and 15 minutes long. They can be 30 minutes or even lower than that sometimes. But don't do that if you only have 8 episodes and like you haven't even shown the bad guy yet. Okay. So now we finally get to this episode, which I think is the overall best episode of the season. Matter of fact, I even put up a YouTube short that talked about could episode 7 save season 3, because like the season 3 is no lie, like people's been dropping off viewership and everything else. But I do have a feeling that if the word gets around about this last episode and a lot of other people that were watching the Mandalorian that maybe fell off and haven't been watching it as much and everything, like if they hear about some of the stuff that happened in this past episode, if they would like jump on board. I mean, because there's some really cool stuff. We see the Shadow Council. We see Moff Gideon now finally doing what he's trying to do. There's a lot of things in this episode to really sink your teeth into, to really look at. Like that Shadow Council, just trying to figure out the different characters. I think his name's like Pilar or whatever. He's in here. He's actually from the ECU. He's actually from the extended universe, from the original Heir to the Empire, as part of like Thrawn's buddy system and buddy group. Thrawn's mentioned in here. Will we see him in the last episode? I think they should. If they don't, I think it's a terrible mistake. Like if they don't show us a little clip of Thrawn, like whether it's him just sitting in a chair or anything, even if it's only like a 5-second little thing, little sneak preview of what he's going to look like for Ahsoka, I think this is a big failure. I think you're going to have him now since you waited so long for Moff Gideon to finally show up in the series. But yeah, we had that. We had just a bunch of cool stuff. Like they go down Mandalore. They go back to Mandalore, for instance, and they're trying to take it back over the planet. We see a mythosaur come out the fucking ground. I mean, he's over here wagging his tail, beating the ship they were up on. We find out there were some Mandalorians that were actually still on the planet that was like basically scavenging around trying to survive and everything for a long time. They just stayed on the planet this whole time. Then we find out that Moff Gideon is putting like been building a secret base there because he's been like getting the Beskar, and he's been using that to make even like badass like little super troopers or whatever with the Beskar armor. Obviously you see like it's hard to shoot through and everything. It's blaster proof basically. Can even Beskar, if I'm not mistaken, can even like hold up a little bit against like lightsabers and stuff. So we have that stuff going on. We have Moff Gideon, like I said, doing this base. He's got ships, he's got bombers, he's got TIE interceptors, which I love. You also see Hux, Daddy Hux. This is not Armitage's Hux from the First Order. Right here, they're not the same. That is his actual like brother in real life, but he's playing his dad in this episode right here in the hologram. He's playing his dad. Some people were confused, thought it was like the Hux that we saw in the sequel trilogy. No, that's his daddy. Okay. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens, right? Like my man Vizsla makes a sacrifice. I'm not one of those, like I said, I don't try to like give you every single little bitty detail on these things because I want you guys to be able to watch it and still get a lot of enjoyment if you happen to see this or whatever. But the thing is like Paz Vizsla has his moment. He does a sacrifice, which this is one of my minor complaints. Like there's a door, he pushes the button, he closes the door, tells Bo-Katan to get out. Bro, you could have got on the other side of the door. It like don't make sense. They should have had somebody like one of the bad guys like shoot the door panel that messes the door up so it shuts and it won't open, and then he's trapped on the other side and he says like, get out of here, I'll take care of this, and she leaves or something. But like he literally pushes a button, the door shuts, and he's like, I'll hold them off, there's too many. It's like, bro, like you could have got on the other side of the door. What are you talking about? He literally could have got on the other side of the door, elbowed the damn panel and messed it up so they couldn't get through, and there they go, they both out. So I think it was a cool sacrifice, but I thought it was like a very like unneeded sacrifice because like literally use a little logic and you can like, whoa, wow, why did he do that? He didn't have to. He just did it because he wanted to, I guess, because he wanted to showcase how badass he was. But so he fights some fighters on his own, which is really cool. He fights some of these new stormtroopers, beats the shit out of them, and like takes them all out. But then we hear some eerie music, and then here comes the Praetorian Guards, man. And the Praetorian Guards, bro, they come in, they take no quarter, son. They don't play around. They came in, and they messed some people up, bro. These guys right here, they came in, they was brandishing their weapons and everything, and they was like, bam, dude, like we about to mess this dude up. And they did. They fucked him up. Like he didn't have a chance. He got sent straight to the pit below. You know what I'm saying? Like he was done. You ain't 3 guards come out, 3 Praetorian guards come out. You're not gonna survive that. And that's what happened. Which is like some of the first signs that we're getting like some of the First Order stuff, because like Praetorian guards are the ones for the First Order that sit around Snoke. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, the Emperor had his own guards that were kind of the same, but not exactly the same in that. But I would like to give some credit, because I'm going to tell you something. The name of this episode is called Spies, and this is possibly right now, leave. If you don't want any possible big spoiler or whatever, I'm going to need you to leave at this moment, because I'm going to talk about this particular character, which could be a big spoiler for the next episode. So like, if you don't want it to happen, because we don't know this. I don't know this. I don't know any rumors. I don't know anything. This is something that me and Adelia was talking about in the Discord after I'd watched the show and everything else. And she made up some good points. I'm giving her credit for this. But if you don't want to know these possible like things, then you might want to bust out now. So I'm giving you a couple seconds. All right, here you go. If you're still here. Okay, so we have the armorer here. I've always noticed, and everybody's always noticed, she has like the horns, but she comes from Concordia, one of the moons or whatever for the planet Mandalore, and everything else. But that happens to be when Darth Maul had the Death Watch where they were at, right? So like she's got the horns, But I always thought it was just something like whatever, something they thought that was cool, so they wanted to use that as the design. But as I look at it now, and then knowing the fact that like that's where Darth Maul's Death Watch was, and where his troopers and everything were, and they started wearing those helmets with the horns. And then in this episode, they make a point to like point out that like, hey, so how did you survive? And she was like, well, I was on the Moon Concordia. And then somebody even brings up like the only reason why you do this is like to remind people you were part of Death Watch, right? And you were part of Death Watch, which was overtaken and ran for a while by Darth Maul. It's almost like a reminder of this. So with that being said, the name of this show is Spies, which implies two. We saw one spy at the very beginning. That would be the girl that messed the doctor up and everything. She goes up and talks to a probe droid. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, a probe droid. She goes up and talks to a droid and that is sent there by Moff Gideon and talks to Moff Gideon about some of the things. So she's a spy. There was no other spy. But the name implies two spies. And I'm going to tell you right now, like I said, Adelia brought this up, and then I immediately agreed because it makes sense that she is actually the second spy in the show. That she's possibly going to turn her back on the Mandalorians, and she's been kind of setting them up the whole time. She wanted to be there when they got there to Mandalore to try to do the thing. She even came up with the idea that, okay, it's okay for you to take off your helmet, Bo-Katan. You're going to bring us together and everything else. And one of the key phrases that my man Moff Gideon says is like, thank you, Bo-Katan, for bringing all the Mandalorians to one place, right? Like he's congratulating, like, thank you for doing that so I could take them out at once kind of thing. So it seems like that was a setup. Only way he could set that up is if this lady right here, the armor, has been kind of working for him the whole time, behind the scenes kind of deal. And that would make sense if she was part of the Death Watch that was up underneath like our man Darth Maul and everything else. So maybe they still believe in the Empire for some reason or something, or the Sith or whatever. But that is something to look to. It is something to look forward to. I don't know if she'll do it particularly in this episode, but I do feel like she's going to do a double cross. Because of that, the armor is going to double cross the Mandalorians and everything because of some of those situational things that are happening. And she even takes like the only way they got off the planet, the ship, to take these like injured people back. Like, now these people are stranded. Like, there's one cat in the episode that decides, hey man, I'm going to get out of here so we can try to warn whatever. And like he jetpacks his way through a hole. So he's still alive out there trying to get in. But we already know you can't send information to the fleet. Now the ship's gone. She's up there like dropping off these injured people. Like, was that set up? She volunteers to do this. But she, knowing what was going to happen, she's trying to get off the planet kind of thing. So like, I don't know, man. We'll find out. We'll find out if we're right. I do want to give credit to Adelia because that was a pretty good pull by her. As soon as she said it, as soon as she mentioned it, I was like, oh shit. No, you're right. Like, I agree with her 100% immediately because everything started clicking. As soon as she said the episode's name was Spies, implying two, and we only saw one, that right there, man, that hit me right there, right in the nose. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Maybe these are just a couple of coincidences they didn't mean to set up, and it just looks like they set it up. But I do think episode 7 is a great episode. Like, graded on its own, man, it's an 8.5, 9. Because it's like super fun. There's a couple of little nitpick things here and there, but that's always going to happen. But those couple little nitpick things, man, come on, dude. Like, they're not that bad. They're actually pretty good stuff. The whole show is like really fun. So like, I'm going to overlook some of those nitpicks is what I'm trying to say. And listen, this is a fun episode. This is one of the funnest things I've seen in Star Wars in a little while. So 8.5, 9 for this particular episode. The season may be at a 6, 6.5. Maybe even lower than that if I like critique some of the stuff like a little more, because like, oh man, there's a couple episodes that are bad that I do not like at all, period. But I think this episode brought it back, but they have to stick the landing. They're going to have a big episode 8. I think that they need to have Thrawn, like I said, 5 seconds of him turning around in a chair or something like that. It don't matter what he's doing, just 5 seconds of Thrawn. We see them at the end. That might bring this season up some. Like that might literally make this season a whole point, maybe a 1.5 to 2 points better if it leads to Thrawn, if we see Thrawn, because like it's a big deal that we see him. One of my biggest problems with this season, and we don't see the bad guy, and we just saw him the next to last episode. There's no build up for that story, but I get it. If the build up for the story was to get to Thrawn, then I understand it. I can wipe that away. But let's see. Can episode 7 save the season? Can episode 8 close the season out with a bang? I'm excited for it because of episode 7. So I'm totally 100% freshly pulled back in. I never truly left. I was kind of like standing there in the doorway, like with my foot on the door, like not letting it close all the way on purpose, like looking back, like, oh man. Then episode 7, I was like, nah, I got to go back inside and lock that door, son. So I'm going to be there for it. I hope you guys are as well. Please, everybody, comment. Tell me what your thoughts are. We thought about the armor or whatever, or what I think about the episode as a whole. Like, just let me know in the comments, and let me know if you want more detailed breakdowns, because I could do more detailed breakdowns, but I feel like I don't want to do that in case somebody watches this first or happens to hop on this first, and I don't give away every little single thing when it comes to it. But we're trying to learn like what might be the best thing for us to do. So like, help us out, man. Drop the comment below. Tell us what kind of style you'd want it in and everything else. But with that being said, guys, always stay sexy in the galaxy. Hey guys, it's Justin, aka Hambone, just here to let you know a couple of things that we have going on with the channel. One, we have a Patreon. If you can and want to support us, you can do that. As little as $1. You can join the Discord. We also have a merch store where you can get some cool shirts, mugs, and stuff with all of our different shows and labels on there. And thank you for all of our supporters that have already been there with us.